FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And we are back on the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and it's time for another Triple Lutz Report. This is episode 351. The date is May 2nd, 2014. We got great news on Obamacare. This coming from humanevents.com. We knew the numbers were fudged, but they're only about 1/3 or 33% bogus. You know, no serious analyst believed the Obamacare sign-up totals pushed by the White House were accurate. The mainstream media, well, they'll believe anything that's put in front of them by this administration because they're just an extension of the administration anyway. First we heard 7 million signups on April 1. Then we heard 8 million, and who knows, pretty soon the whole country will have signed up to Obamacare. But now, thanks to work by the House Energy and Commerce Committee, we've got a better idea of why the most transparent administration in history is guarding those figures as closely as Barack Obama's activities on the night of September 11th, 2012, or his college transcripts, or his birth certificate, his real one. Previous estimates from the insurance industry held that 20 to 25% of the reported Obamacare signups were unpaid and invalid, but the actual numbers from the federal exchange system turn out to be considerably worse. Data provided to the committee by every insurance provider in the healthcare law's federally facilitated marketplace, that's an FFM if you care about such things, shows that as of April 15th, 2014, only 2/3 or 67% of individuals and families that had selected a health plan in the marketplace had paid their first month's premium and therefore completed the enrollment policy or process. Nationwide, only 25% of paid enrollees are aged 18 to 34, which means this is a fiscal nightmare. And the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations today invited the leaders of some of the nation's largest insurance providers and their trade groups to testify at a hearing, PPACA enrollment, and the insurance industry. And that's going to be held on May 7th in D.C. So now we're starting to find out what the truth is, that as of April 15th, insurers informed the committee that only 2.45 million had paid their first month's premium for coverage obtained through federally facilitated marketplace. And, you knew these numbers were bogus. I knew they were bogus. And in certain places, like in Oregon, they spent $305 million of taxpayer dollars to create this thing called Cover Oregon, and they didn't sign up one single person there. And you can't really be surprised. So as for the demographic breakdown, what we're looking at here, Philip Klein of the Washington Examiner says the administration was looking for 40% of enrollees to come from the young sucker demographic of 18 to 34, paying exorbitant premiums with plump taxpayer subsidies to cover the cost of insuring older, less healthy customers, meaning people basically from the baby boomer group, of which yours truly is a member. Luckily, at this point, I'm one of the healthier baby boomers. I got to tell you, I was flying back to New York from Palm Beach International Airport, West Palm International Airport, otherwise known in airline parlance as PBI. Getting onto that airplane was shocking. There were at least 11 people in wheelchairs getting wheeled onto the plane. It was just amazing. I mean, this is what the baby boomer generation has come down to. And I'm sure all 11 of those people were on Obamacare or Medicare. So the House Energy and Commerce study found these 25% of paid policies were sold through the federal exchanges to that group. So only 25% of them are paying. It's just amazing. So the demographic death spiral is going to play out state by state anyway, no matter which exchange the policies were purchased through. Some states may end up with a sustainable mixture of young adults and older customers, but most are not going to. So, this is a scandal, and you can just expect more bad news to come out more and more as this thing unfolds, which, we've been talking about this here on the Financial Survival Network since April of last year. So here's a good one also. We've been talking about Detroit, what's going on there. Well, the bankruptcy case is marching on. Kevin Orr, he's the emergency manager. He's probably wishing he never saw this case, although it is generating millions and millions of dollars in fees for him and his law firm. And progress is being made. Detroit, and this happened last week, the end of April. Detroit and a coalition of 14 city employee unions have reached a tentative deal on a 5-year collective bargaining agreement. There were mediators involved. The agreement in principle covers the major aspects of labor contracts with the city's largest union, AFSCME, and 13 other bargaining units. Why do they need all these unions? It's one city. If they don't have that many union employees left, they should just say, we've got one contract. If you guys like it, sign it. If you don't, we're just going to cram it down your throats anyway because we're in bankruptcy. And in fact, because we're in bankruptcy, we'll just get approval from the bankruptcy judge and cram it down your throats anyway. You're allowed to do that in bankruptcy court. So also they got approval from 2 retirement systems and 3 bond insurance companies. So looks like this thing is marching forward. He hasn't gone far enough in revamping the city's operations. We talked about Pontiac, Michigan, and how he's missing a golden opportunity to turn Detroit into a truly contracted out city, get rid of all these government workers. This deal covers 3,500 workers. They could contract out police, contract out fire, and just get rid of these parasitic unions. He's not getting to the bottom of the problem here, which is poor management first and foremost, and recalcitrant unions that are just parasitic in operations. In their nature, just the way they are. And here's the money quote. We know operationally what needs to be done to save money and improve services, McNeil said. This is the union thug. This agreement in principle offers an opportunity for the unions to provide regular input and guidance to city management. Well, it's their regular input and guidance to city management that got them where they are today. And the tentative deal doesn't include public safety workers. That's the Detroit Police Officers Association and Detroit Firefighters Association. They shouldn't be treated any different. And at a court hearing, Judge Stephen Rhodes asked Detroit to submit by Friday a final version of a key supporting document for its plan to adjust $18 billion of debt and exit the biggest municipal bankruptcy in U.S. history, and blah, 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 Settlements over pension reductions depend on $466 million pledged by philanthropic foundations and the Detroit Institute of Arts to aid retirees and avoid a fire sale of artworks, because what they're trying to do here is get more money in. Governor Rick Snyder is also getting legislative approval for $350 million so they don't have to sell off the Detroit Institute of Arts art collection, which is worth purportedly billions of dollars, especially the way the price of art is going up. They could sell off a couple of Picassos and Monets and some others and bail out the city there. They don't need every single piece of art. I guarantee you that 95% of the city never even steps foot into that museum. Sell off that island that's there, sell off the tunnel, sell off half the, sell it to the Chinese. I mean, who says we need Detroit anymore anyway? There's something really wrong with this plan. And, most of the people who are in Detroit are gone now anyway. The city is less than a third of what it used to be, its population. There's a reason for that. When people are fed up with their government and the way the city or the state is working, they vote with their feet, and we'll be talking more about that when we return on the Financial Survival Network.
FSN Radio.
Are you worried about protecting your wealth against a dollar collapse? Worried about gold confiscation? Owings Metals provides wearable wealth solutions that will keep your wealth safe from a declining dollar and from a government that's getting more desperate by the day. The Indians have understood this for thousands of years. Americans are just starting to catch on. When you wear an Owings Metals 24-karat piece of jewelry, you can safely cross borders and take your wealth with you. Best of all, it's insurable, and unlike a lot of Indian jewelry, it's very durable. It can easily be disassembled and sold off in pieces if you need cash. It's surprisingly affordable and definitely should have a place in your wealth diversification strategy. Precious metals are like so many other types of insurance. You only find out how important and essential they are after disaster strikes. Call Owings Metals now at 855-604-6343. 855-604-6343. Don't wait until it's too late. 855-604-6343 now.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And we return on the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. This is Triple Lutz 351. So we talk about how politicians try to delude you that you would never move from your state or your city because taxes were too high. And yet we go to California, and what happened there? Toyota is moving from California to where? Do you know where they're moving from? They're moving from Torrance, California to Texas, from a state that has one of the highest personal income taxes and corporate income taxes to a state that has no personal or corporate income tax. Why would they do that? Because we all know that a company or individuals would never move from a state to another state just because the costs are lower. No, that would never happen. And Torrance Mayor Frank Scotto, looking grim, said outside City Hall that he had been blindsided by the move. A few feet away sat Pat Simpson, a Torrance resident for over 60 years, with her head in her hands. Why do they want to tear this place apart? Simpson asked. Well, who's tearing it apart? Is it Toyota, or is it your wonderful leaders who just think they can keep raising taxes and the people will keep just bending over and taking it? Who's doing that, Pat? Who's destroying the state? Is it your politicians, or is it businesses that are seeking greener pastures? And Scotto said his first inkling of Toyota's decision to move to Plano came last Thursday when he was told by Toyota to expect a phone call at 9:45 a.m. on Monday, just before the company was to make its decision official. And at first, I thought it was about something else, Scotto said. Even this morning, despite all the rumors this weekend, we thought it was only going to be part of Toyota moving, not just everything. The decision, he said, was sad news. You know, they've been there for 50 years, Toyota. And two biggest employers in Torrance are Toyota and Honda. Both have about 4,000 employees there. Losing Toyota will mean an annual loss of $1.2 million in tax revenue, Scotto said, but the emotional toll and wider economic impact will be much larger, much bigger, he said. And his son-in-law, Scotto's son-in-law, works for Toyota, so the mayor faces the prospect of his daughter and grandchildren moving to Texas. Serves the SOB right. It's going to affect tens of thousands of people, he said. Serves California right. This is what happens when you bite the hand that feeds you, when you kill the golden goose. California is going down the tubes, and you're getting exactly what you deserve. Go put in a medical marijuana plantation. Knock down the Toyota factory and grow marijuana there, because you're never going to get an industry back there to take its place unless and until you rationalize your crazy laws. All you do is harass producers in California. That's it. So you're getting what you deserve, California. I hope you're happy, because this is, you brought it totally on yourself. And, you know, this is the trend in California. This is part of a generational trend that's been happening over and over again. And probably a guy like Scotto, guys like in the state legislature in California are enjoying the book by Thomas Piketty, who is a rock star economist, according to Heidi Moore. And she wonders if he can rewrite the American dream. Well, they're rewriting it. One of dependency and socialism and all sorts of wonderful things like that. So you're getting what you want. You know, maybe you'll do what New York is doing, and you're going to just raise taxes, give everybody in the city a free lunch like they're doing in New York, regardless of how much money the kids' families make, because it's just the right thing to do. And in New York, I don't know if you caught this article, it was in the Daily News, the city council is asking for $24 million to provide lunches regardless of how much money kids' families make. And according to them, too many children in our city go hungry each day. According to Speaker Melissa Mark Viverito, universal school lunch is an investment in our children and will ensure all students are able to eat a healthy, nutritious meal. About 75% of the children's 1.1 million students qualify for free lunch, leaving roughly 350,000 kids whose parents either make too much money to qualify or fail to fill out the necessary paperwork. So let's just give them the lunch for free and not worry about it. Advocates say some kids are too embarrassed to line up in the designated free lunch line, or suffer because their parents are too stupid or can't be bothered to fill out the application, or are undocumented and fear submitting any official paperwork. Families of four with an annual income below $30,615 are entitled to free lunch, while those whose family income is below $43,658 get reduced price free lunch. Get reduced price lunch. And Mayor de Blasio's preliminary budget presented in February didn't include universal free lunch. So next time somebody says there's no such thing as a free lunch, point them in the direction of New York City, where everybody eats lunch for free. It's so great, you know, the People's Republic of New York City. So just in case you thought that it didn't matter, that you're not doing anything wrong, so the NSA can just help themselves to all your data. Well, listen to this. This was in the Market Daily News recently on April 25th. You can check it out. with revelations that the national security agencies collected some 20 trillion phone calls and emails via an expansive nationwide surveillance network, most Americans have already come to the realization that everything they do is being monitored, but many shrug off Big Brother's prying eyes by suggesting that since they aren't doing anything wrong, they have nothing to worry about. I'm sure you feel that way, don't you? And that may have been true several years ago, but the digital surveillance systems of today are far more advanced than you ever thought possible. And no longer are these machines simply recording the data and storing them in some historical archive to be pulled out at a later date should the government ever have reason to take a closer look at your personal life. No, the next generation of systems are being used to actively monitor your digital interactions, surfing habits, conversations, and daily sentiment in an effort to predict your future behavior. And nowhere is this more apparent than in the systems currently operating within social media. And researchers at the University of Virginia, funded by the U.S. Army, recently demonstrated that they can not only gather information from your personal Twitter account, just like the NSA, but also aggregate and analyze that information with advanced predictive algorithms designed to determine what you're going to do next. And in this case, the researchers focused specifically on predicting crime by individuals as well as in crime hotspots around the country. Doesn't this sound like Minority Report with Tom Cruise? And here's the kicker. The algorithms being used don't just look for obvious keyword phrases associated with criminal activity like "I'm going to kill you" or "meet me later and we'll give him a beatdown," but focus in on routine activities, geolocation, and aggregate historical information to calculate the chance of a particular individual being involved in a crime at some point in the future. Pretty scary stuff, huh? So don't tell me next time that I wasn't going to do anything wrong anyway, so I have nothing to worry about, because you have lots to be worried about. And the researchers demonstrated tweets could predict certain kinds of crimes if the correct analysis is applied. So tweets can be useful in predicting 19 to 25 kinds of crimes, especially for offenses such as stalking, thefts, and certain kinds of assaults. And even tweets that have no direct link to crimes may contain information about activities often associated with them. Sounds like Person of Interest, doesn't it? If you haven't seen that show on CBS, it's on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m., one of my personal favorites. Jim Caviezel's on it. Amazing show. It's in its fourth season now. The plots were running thin. I think they've gotten some new writers in there. Amazing show. Check it out. Check out the past seasons. It's what we're heading towards. This is why you got to fight the NSA and the government. Stop this wholesale harvesting of your personal data now. Well, that's it for today. This has been another Triple Lutz Report. Kerry Lutz signing off.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.